Hello, 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 friends. Oh my goodness gracious. Can I just say, right off the top of this stream, it is so hot. It is so hot, guys. Like, I'm sweating, I'm sweltering, I'm glistening. And so I'm hoping and praying that my clothes do not dissolve over the course of this stream, but I guess we'll see. Welcome in, welcome in. I'm so happy we have some new friends here today. I am so glad to have you. We've got a lot to talk about. Of course, we've got our usual just chatting. I have some things to share from my philosophy club from yesterday. And there's been some stuff in the news, like online related news, streaming stuff, content creator stuff, and also just in my personal life. And so I want to just chat a storm up today. It's snowing where you are, Elle. That's crazy. I wish I could trade some of that weather because here, I really apologize as well in advance if you guys can hear the fan. It's right next to me. If I do not have this fan on full blast, I will literally just melt into a puddle. And so I also just came back from the gym as well, which is why I look a little bit extra sweaty right now. Hopefully, I'm not too puffed out as we continue into this stream. So let's just all settle in first. Welcome in, welcome in. It's 31 degrees Celsius where you're at. It's honestly, I think it was about the same today here in Victoria, Australia, where I'm located. G'day, g'day. And it's going to stay that hot for the next week or so. And that's interesting, if you don't have a good AC, you're kind of SOL. So here we are, and I'm just trying to make do. I'm already feeling the heat. I do wish I could swap with the UK right now. Honestly, I've never been to the UK. I've never done a Europe trip, but I would very much like to. And the UK is pretty much at the top of my list. It's hard to pick, but it's up there. And so anyway, welcome in no matter where you're from. I am seriously excited to be here. It's honestly always a treat, but today in particular, we missed yesterday, and I had no idea how long Philosophy Club was going to go for, but we did start late, and I was like, fuck, I might not be able to stream. And so here we are. I've been dying for a little bit of this, what we get up to. And so, we're just going to kick it like we normally do. I've got a new fit today as well, because that's the challenge that we're doing. I'll show you guys properly in a sec, but this is it's giving I don't know, tropical vacation vibes, and I'm all here for it. It's definitely the right weather for it. And so anyway, welcome in. My name's Emmy, and no matter where you're from, no matter if you're new or one of our familiar old friends, I'm glad to have you here. And I definitely know what it's like to be too sick to sleep. Don't even get me started on my sleep schedule, guys. It is literally, it's less like a schedule and more like a what is it called? A dog's breakfast? Is that an Australian saying? I don't know. It's literally all over the place. And so I have been basically nocturnal for the past 2 weeks or so. And that's made living in general pretty hard. It's the whole world kind of operates in the daylight hours, and everyone else is just, kind of getting shit done and being productive, whereas I'm usually just sleeping right through it. And so here we are. You guys hopefully, will keep me from going totally insane, because I have to show up, of course, and I want to show up. And so the dog's breakfast, I swear, I don't know if that's just Australian, but I remember hearing that a lot as a kid, especially teachers would say, oh, your handwriting looks like a dog's breakfast, and be like, thanks. And that never really changed. And so anyway, I've got Pat Thick here with me, and honestly, we're kind of matching right now. The color scheme, it's actually kind of there's something happening here. That was not on purpose, but I'm here for it. And I no comment about, the panties. Just moving on. And so, we've got just very chill, laid back, kind of trying to keep as cool as possible stream for today. Because if I move around too much, if I get too excited or too hyped up, I'm just going to get even sweatier. And no one, trust me, no one wants that. And so, how are you guys doing? Are you well? Are you feeling fantastic, super spondiferous, and everything good in between? I hope so. I am pretty happy, actually. I'm feeling good since going back to the gym, even though I was very aware of how unfit I had become in the little break that I had away from it. And so, just getting back into that whole thing, starting very slowly but surely. And yeah, kind of just remembering what it's like to be, I don't know, an active person in general. And so, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a, it's a good and bad thing in the sense that it's nice to finally be back, but also it's like, fuck, I am really like out of breath and I'm just on the treadmill, like having a nice walk. Anyway, yeah, I'm feeling like hopefully as I progress, I can share some of that, like those wins with you guys, those dubs, as we like to say. But right now, as you can see, I don't really have much to show for myself. And the sad thing is I am actually trying. And so we'll see. Over the course of maybe this year, we've been talking a lot about 2025 and thriving in 2025. I'm hoping that manifests in all arenas in life. Not just physical, not just mental, but socially, financially, spiritually, sexually, maybe. We'll see. And that goes for all of you guys. I want you to thrive this year, and we can do it together. I'm pretty sure we can. So, yeah, we're literally just starting this year. Even though it felt like January was a time warp of a month, it felt long and short at the same time. I have faith that, as we continue through this year, it's just going to get better and better. That's my prediction, at least. And so, yeah, to any of our new friends, welcome in. What we do here is kind of a little bit of a question mark. I'm not even fully sure myself. It's meant to be kind of like a poetry, creative, writing-based stream and channel, but really it's a little bit of everything. We like to get silly, we like to get thirsty. We have lots of boomy moments, which is like when I have a technological failure, which happens often. I'm hoping today my computer behaves. But recently, because it has been so hot, I felt like maybe that's why I'd been having some issues, because my computer, poor thing, like it's having a hard enough time just trying to do everything that I'm demanding of it just on its own. But if you add in the obscenely hot weather to it, it basically stands no chance. And so we have had a few fails recently. My computer has crashed just out of nowhere, like in the middle of a stream, which is always very embarrassing. And yeah, that's been kind of a staple of this channel. And so I'm hoping that we're okay this time. But if it does happen, please just don't be alarmed. I'll reboot and we'll keep going for our usual streaming like time. So anyway, what else? Yeah, so basically we chat, we sometimes watch videos, we sometimes play games, we sometimes do some singing as well. Even though last stream, oh my god, my voice was such a troll. Like I was so ready, I was amped up to sing, and then I kind of just like had a mini coughing fit, and then my voice would not cooperate for the rest of the stream. So it's kind of like I take what I can get, essentially. Sometimes my voice is like, oh yeah, okay, I'll actually show up. And other times it's like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna fuck off. So it's like very etsy-catsy is what I like to say. It's Greek for so-so. But yeah, we're gonna be vibing today. I'm already feeling myself stick to this chair because I'm sweating. And if you see me dipping back like this, all the way here, it's just because I'm trying to hit that fan's line of sight. Because if I point it towards the mic, you will hear it. It'd be like, vroom, which is not like pleasant for anyone. But yeah, that's a vibe for today. And basically just what we normally do. So welcome in everyone. I'm so glad to have you. How have you all been? How have you spent your weekend? Is it still Sunday for some of you? Here in Australia, it's Monday here. And yeah, for me though, it's kind of like every day is a weekend because I very gratefully get to do this as kind of my job, right? And so I always hear my friends, poor things, they're always like saying, Monday blues, I have to get back to the grind. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? But I have no idea what it's like. And so all I can do is sympathize, though I can't empathize. And honestly, no matter what, getting to see you guys is always a pleasure. So it's kind of a pretty sweet gig, I'd say. So Al, it's 1 a.m. for you right now. It's 1 a.m. on Monday, right? I always forget here in Australia, we're basically living in the future. And I think the only other country that's ahead of us is like New Zealand, maybe even one of the like Papua New Guinea, like somewhere around there. And so I'm always like, damn, guys, it's not even Monday for you guys yet. Don't worry, you're going to love it as someone who's already been through it. And so, yeah, it's quite funny. I have been spending my days pretty casually, I've been doing some writing, surprisingly. I've been doing a lot of relaxing. seeing friends, and yeah, just kind of enjoying the summer. Because here in Australia, it's like basically if you're in school, it's like your summer break, if that makes sense. You know how you have a really big break, usually across the pond, like in America, for example, the summer break is in the middle of the year because obviously that's when summer is. And I always thought that was so strange because we have our big like 2 to 3 month break at the end of one year and at the start of the next. And so it's, yeah, it's still kind of in that period for people. And while I'm out of school now, of course, I've graduated from high school and university, which makes me feel old. I still see like out and about, there's families, you know, enjoying their holidays and stuff like that, even though I think it's just about coming to a close, depending on, you know, if you're in high school or, you know, wherever you're at in your educational life. And so, yeah, it's kind of, it's nice to be enjoying the weather when it cooperates, but it's mainly been quite offensive, so to say the least. Anyway, let me see. Camera's out of focus. Thank you, Space. This camera, let me see here. Can I get it to work? I have to kind of get all up in it. Did that work? Is that better? The time right here is 8 p.m. And so we're on track. We're on schedule. This is like the typical time that you can see me streaming. And even though yesterday I was technically meant to be streaming, I was watching The Substance with my friends. And it was kind of like, instead of doing a reading for that philosophy club, we watched a movie and then got to talk about it. And I swear I love it more and more each time I watch it. The first time I watched that movie, I was just absolutely taken aback and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? But it's grown on me, interestingly enough. And so I'm not sure how many of you out there have seen the movie. It's what the title of this stream is based on. I'm going to try and maybe talk about it without giving any spoilers. I'll be as spoiler free as I can. And yeah, just like ponder. It's psychological and philosophical kind of questions that it's raised. So yeah, I loved the movie, and I feel like, yeah, except the ending is what a lot of people have said. I was the exact same way the first time I saw it. But again, like the more I watch it, you kind of catch little things here and there, you discuss it with your friends. I feel like it has grown on me. And so it's quite an experience of a movie, to say the least. So even if you haven't seen it, and, you know, maybe it's not really your style, the genre is not too much of a spoiler, right? It's kind of like dark horror, like dark comedy, body horror, something along those lines, kind of absurdist film. Even if that's not your style, it's worth checking out because it's just such a complete and utter, like, what the fuck experience. And so, yeah, that's definitely the vibe that I kind of got the first time I saw it. And then, you know, it starts to unravel little by little, and you can see actually some of those themes that are less absurd and more kind of just relatable, right? Even though they're dealing with quite unrealistic or like over the top themes. And so anyway, we can talk more about that later. I first want to welcome you guys all in, and we're just going to like, yeah, see what you have all been up to. Riku, Astido, Dude, Recab, you guys are all here. It's because it's like, you know, the weekend still for some of you, right? It's always like a nice surprise when I get to see some familiar and sometimes new names popping up. I hope you're all well. Space L, baby, you kind of hot for real. You're new here. I recognize that name though. This wink is for you. Ready? Ding. Tyler, Jack, Weasel. I see you guys. I see you. Don't you worry. And so yeah, this is kind of the vibe for today. Swampy, hello. I'm glad to have you guys here, and I'm very gratified that you would pick here of all places to spend your hard-earned time, because I know it's like a hot commodity, especially because, actually, I'm not too up to date, but there's like some awards going on right now, like, is it the Grammys, if I'm not mistaken? And yeah, I'm not that like into it and everything. I'm just like curious about who ends up winning what, but yeah, it's nice that you choose to spend some time here. And it's my pleasure. So I hope we can have some fun today. And no matter if you've been feeling up, down, left, right, or, you know, the Konami code of emotions, I'm hoping that just, you know, being in each other's company, we can come away feeling a little bit, what's the word? A little bit lighter, maybe. That's what I'm hoping. So, what can I say? I am sorry about the just the state of me right now. Like I literally just came back from the gym like half an hour ago, and so it's like, you know, the hair, the sweat, the everything. It's just, you kind of get what you get sometimes when it comes to this stream. And so yeah, I'm really sorry, and that will only, you know, what's a word, devolve as we continue through this like little this stream for today. So just keep that in mind. And if you see me doing this, I swear I need a towel. Like if you see me doing this, if you see me doing this, I'm just trying to wipe the sweat inconspicuously / conspicuously from my person, because it's quite annoying and sticky. But unfortunately I can't be streaming in the nude. It's not that kind of channel, guys. It's really not. So here we are. And so yeah, if you're in Australia or like kind of in I guess the southern hemisphere, maybe you can relate. Those of you across the pond, you might be like, damn, give me some of that hot weather. Because I always feel like no matter what the weather is, I'm always kind of wishing it was the other way around. You know, grass is always greener type B, right? And so when it's cold, I'm so miserable, and I'm always like, oh my God, please, will a drop of sunlight just please to land on me, right? And then when it's hot like this, I'm like, fuck, why did I ever want this? But, you know, what can I say? It's, after the kind of 6 to 8 month long winters we get here in Victoria, it is kind of a welcome change, because god damn, it gets cold and grey and rainy usually throughout the year. So yeah, I guess I'll just have to suck it up. So as for these streams, usually we go for roughly 4 hours, maybe with a break in between, like in the middle, 2 hours in. But depending on how rambly I get, we can go over. It's happened, you know. So yeah, it's really just a party. It's a party, and I'm glad to have you here. And yeah, it's honestly depends on my stamina, like how hungry I am, how tired I am, or how much I have to say. And that's very like, it's all wrapped into the formula of how long these streams end up going for. But roughly 4 hours. Like I feel like that's a nice in between, because I think a lot of people, a lot of streamers especially, they're on that grind and they stream for like 6, 8, 12 hours, right? And that's crazy to me. Like, how is that even possible? I mean, I've done like in the past the subathons and stuff like that, and that was like, it took every ounce of strength in my body to pull through, right? But some of my friend streamers even, they do it without thinking. They're like, oh yeah, I kind of lost track of time and I was streaming for like 12 hours. And I was like, wow, that is incredible. Unfortunately, about 3 hours and 59 minutes in, I just get like my energy flags and it just nosedives, right? And so I want to give you guys quality over quantity usually. And as soon as I feel like I've got nothing to say, I'm like, well, I guess my job here is done. Let me pass you on to more productive hands, right? But yeah, depending on your definition of productive, that's at least the plan usually. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for saying this is a groovy shirt, by the way. It is pretty groovy. I got this while thrift shopping and it's very oversized, but I kind of like that. It's almost, what's the word? Like Billie Eilish core, you know, how she's a big fan of her oversized shirts. And around the house and stuff, it's like just so easy to chuck on a shirt and just like, you know, be done with it. I'm actually wearing pants though. Don't be alarmed. I'll show you guys now actually. This is the fit for today. See how long it is? And shorts. Ta-da! So it looks like I'm wearing no pants, but just trust me, I am, okay? I'm wearing pants. And so I quite like the color. I found that recently I've been very drawn to blues, right? Which is interesting because I've said before my favorite color is usually like red or pink, or like, you know, one of those more, I don't know how to say this, like girly colors, right? But I feel like blue has just taken me by storm. And now I'm really into my blue shirts, dresses, as you guys have seen in the past actually. And I don't know when I'm jumping off that train, but I'm loving it so far. So yeah, this is outfit 7 of 365. For our new friends, you may not know, we actually did a donation fund to have me basically wear a different outfit per stream for a year. And so, or a year's worth of streams, I should say. And so I'm going to have to keep track. I have a list going right now and only 7 have happened so far, so it's pretty easy to keep track. But I have a feeling it's going to get increasingly more difficult. So we'll see how we go. And if I accidentally wear the same thing like twice in that situation, I have to eat a bean boozle bean, which makes me scared for my life, quite frankly. I'm not kidding. Like, if you have not tried a bean boozle bean, you don't know. You literally don't know what it's like. It should be classified as a human rights violation to eat a bean boozle bean because it is foul. Even the good ones that they mix in aren't really that good, but the bad ones, oh my god, it's torture. And so you guys know how much I hate bean boozle beans. I even had like we used to have this little like donation incentive, which is like, oh, if you donate this much money, I'll have a bean. Then I like just decided, no, I'm not doing that shit anymore because it wasn't worth it, no matter how much you pay me. And so, yeah, here we are. That's how dedicated I am to this challenge, right? And the whole thing, I'll try and like condense it as much as possible for our friends who've heard me say this a million times. I wanted to be more mindful about my wardrobe, considering it is obscenely large right now. And there are lots of clothes, beautiful pieces that I just haven't worn in so long because I get comfortable, you know? I can be kind of a creature of habit sometimes, as my mum first described me as. I remember her saying that and like stuck with me forever. She's like, you know, Emmy, you can be quite a creature of habit. And I was like, damn, that was a read. And so true. So I get used to like my certain outfits that I wear over and over again. My certain like kind of my streaming uniform is what I used to call it because I just wear the same thing basically every single time, despite having like hundreds and hundreds of outfits to pick from. So like, you know what? Let me jump out of my comfort zone and let's also put some of this stuff to good use, you know? At the end of the challenge, any of the things that I didn't quite like when I was wearing it or things that you guys didn't like, for instance, things that I was unsure about and gave you the chance to like either keep or donate, we can just end up taking the stuff that maybe that doesn't spark joy anymore, so to speak, and then give it to a better home, right? So that's kind of the ongoing challenge that we're doing over here. And it might not seem like much to an outsider. Honestly, I can see how one might think of it as a little bit vain or vapid or somewhere in that realm. But it's like, you know, it's something that I think can ultimately do some good. And that's kind of the vibe around this channel. I want to head towards better instead of best or perfect, you know, in pursuit of imperfection. That's kind of the slogan around here. And so far, all the outfits I've worn, I've quite enjoyed. So I don't feel like donating any of these so far. But that's because I'm starting off strong. As we continue on, I feel like there'll be lots and lots of pieces where I'll be like, guys, what do you think? Keep or donate? And then that's where we can do a little poll and you can help me decide. Because, yeah, you know, I mean, unless you live in the fashion world and you're like a model or you're a fashion designer, I don't think one person needs this many clothes. And so I'm trying to change that this year, trying to be a little bit more mindful. And I'm very glad that you guys can like join me on this quest. So that's kind of the gist of things. And of course, we met that donation fund, which I was very, very like grateful for. And so, yeah, you guys might see me in increasingly weird outfits as we go. And I was saying actually like a few streams back that I might even have more to offer than just a year's worth. Like as I was looking at my wardrobe, which by the way, you can see some of my clothes here, but also there's like 4 massive doors here of like more clothes essentially. I was like, I could probably just keep going. Like, let's see how many days I could go for, how many streams I can go for while wearing something different. And of course, without actually buying anything new, because that defeats the purpose, right? Just with what I've got. Like, I feel like we could just see how far we go. So who knows? After 365, we might just keep it rolling. And is there a world record? Break a world record for most amount of streams with a different / new / remixed outfit. We'll see. We'll see. It's still early days. But yeah. Steve, thank you for the posture check. This is actually me sitting up straight. If I was like slouching, I'd be like, just like fully knocked out. Thank you very much. I also want to drink as well. And to our new friends like Slassafras, I love that name, and Jay, I'm glad to have you here. Welcome in. Welcome in. See, even my bottle is blue. Not planned either. In terms of requests, I can do my best, but like, just be warned. Like, my voice is very temperamental, very mercurial, and it can be, yeah, a little bit like a troll, essentially. So you're always welcome to request, but in terms of actually fulfilling that request, sometimes it's a little bit more. What's the word? I was just going to say fucked, essentially. Anyway, and we might do some more music stuff like in the latter half of this stream as well. You know me, I'm always feeling musical. And so, yeah, mercurial is a great word. It is. It reminds me actually of, speaking of music, I think Panic at the Disco, an old favorite of mine, old favorite band of mine, used it in one of their songs. And I was like, yoink, I guess I'm stealing that forever now. But credit where credit is due. We got lots of great words around here. And actually, that reminds me of my favorite question to ask you guys. And since we have lots of friends here, it's a perfect time to do it. How would you describe your mood in one word or less? And yes, the or less is actually valid. Sometimes your mood is simply ... blank, nothing, zip, zeros, zilch, nada. And so for me, my mood right now, I mean, besides the obvious, which is just like freaking hot, it's excited. I'm very excited to be here. And so I want to hear from you guys. How would you describe your mood? And, you know, you can spend some time thinking about it, or you can be as impulsive and intuitive as you like. The exercise, if you want to call it that, kind of unravels quite prettily. So sometimes things come up that you may not have expected. You're like, oh, sore. Why did I say sore? Or sometimes it's exactly what you expect, and I guess that's a good sign, right? Mercurial is great. I love that, and it's often quite relatable to me. I like to describe myself as mercurial sometimes, and I kind of almost warn my friends. I'm like, guys, just so you know, my mood is very, well, I don't want to say precarious, but I'm very like affected by the world. So when I see, like when I'm around happiness and people enjoying themselves, I'm like, I also enjoy myself, and vice versa. You know, it seems quite obvious, but it's like, yeah, I'm quite at the mercy of the people, the surroundings, and kind of even the decor. If you want to go like down the Sims route, you know, when Sims spend time in like a well-decorated place, they get happy. I kind of feel the same. And of course, well-decorated can mean anything, like from a specific kind of aesthetic to something very well thought out and curated. So, yeah, it could be like a highly sensitive person. I've heard the phrase before, though I haven't done too much research, even though it is fascinating. I just feel like it's almost like, how do I describe this? It's got its pros and its cons, but the pros for me definitely outweigh the cons in terms of being open to the world and kind of allowing yourself the opportunity to be affected by the world. It's nice, you know, as opposed to being closed off, which is, you know, sometimes I can definitely relate to that. But it does leave you at the mercy of people, so they can say something and just like get you right in the feels for, you know, better or for worse. And so, yeah, I'm feeling excited. I hope you guys are feeling something in the realm of good feeling, right? But if you aren't, that's okay too, because I want honesty over false positivity. And I've definitely come on stream before and just been like, guys, I am not feeling it today. And it's just about, you know, opening up the question. So, let's see. Astito's feeling ravenous. I also can definitely relate to that. Even though strangely right now, I'm not that like hungry after the gym. I think it usually goes one of two ways. After like finishing a session at the gym, I'm either starving, like I could eat my entire house, or I'm like, damn, I'm good to not eat for the rest of the day. So right now I'm kind of more in the latter, but we'll see. Sometimes that feeling quickly melts away and I'm like, actually guys, I need to eat my house. So Elle, your word is sick. I'm sorry to hear it. I hope you have a speedy recovery, and I know firsthand what it's like to be under the weather. It sucks. I'm the most melodramatic person there is when it comes to being sick. And so I just hope you get some good rest, some chicken soup, if you're that way inclined. And maybe, you know, the droning sounds of my voice can like lull you into a nice little sleep, something along those lines. I won't be offended, don't worry. And also, what a beautiful compliment. I can imagine you jumping into the water and turning into a mermaid. That's a beautiful thing to say. I honestly I'm so like obsessed with mermaids. I think they're the most interesting like mythological creature. And here in Australia, I'm not sure if this is the same like in different countries. We had this show, like I remember as a kid, like it was called H2O, like just add water, about these like kind of teenage girls that were secretly mermaids. And I was always like, oh my God, imagine if that was real. Like just hoping and praying that maybe my mermaid genetics would one day like kick in. Alas, it has not happened. Such a fucking great show, right? And yeah, interestingly enough, because, you know, we have, I know I said we mainly talk about writing here, though it's a bit of everything. In some of my like little stories and stuff, there is a little bit of a mermaid slant, if that makes sense. One of my characters that I like to write about, she's kind of got allusions or references to that kind of mermaid world. And so, thank you. It's a very nice thing to say. And I definitely won't forget it. It's just going to pump up my ego, which I don't think I need at this point, but thank you again. Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? We had a lot of really classic shows when I was like still in high school, like early high school, or maybe just out of primary school. Like we also had the show Mortified, which was so freaking good. It was like classic Aussie TV. And yeah, I wonder what happened to that show. So it was, yeah, just something I remember watching like before or after school. I can't remember. And being like, oh yeah, I can't wait to watch this show. And it was like, just, yeah, it was great. Along with some of the other shows at that time, like we had Total Drama Island and stuff like that. We had the presenter who was, what was his name? Like Elliot or something. Host of like the roller coaster thing. Anyway, these were all very Australian things, so I don't blame you guys if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But maybe one day we'll take a trip down memory lane because it was, yeah, quite, what's the word? Like influential to my childhood. And so I think it definitely shaped some of my thoughts and feelings, whether I liked it or not. So, yeah, classic Aussie TV, besides the kangaroo boxing matches, of course. But anyway, yes, feel free to ask a question. I'm here for you guys to poke and prod at and ask anything that catches your fancy, and I'll do my best, you know. I am literally the worst when it comes to kind of dissecting my friends, you know, because I'm interested, I'm curious. And so I try to warn them before, and I'm like, I know, like, you're free to not answer anything that's too much and too personal and too intimate, but I'm just so curious. Tell me your entire life story, start to finish, and don't leave anything out. So I'm very used to that, and I never take offense when it's like, kind of, when it circles back around. Oh gosh, but yeah, please ask away. Though, just so you guys know, like, I'm not anyone special, right? Sometimes it's quite flattering, of course, when you guys are interested in my life and, you know, my thoughts on specific things, my opinions on, like, events. But it's like, I'm literally just a random person on the internet. Remember that. So take what I say with a grain of salt and, yeah, hopefully just add it to an ever-expanding quilt of thoughts and opinions from people that you can then make your own judgments on. So, yeah, just make sure that you guys don't take me as some incredible, insightful entity, because usually my thoughts are just more like, donuts, and that's about it. So, Redcastle, welcome in. I hope you're well. And yes, it is hot as hell in paradise. I agree. Don't get me singing now. The question here is what I love about streaming, which is a fantastic question that I love talking about. So you're going to get me rambling for the next hour or so. Let's see, from like most cliche to least cliche. Of course, I love spending time with you guys. It's kind of a given, right? So let me try and think of something that's less obvious, I suppose. I like how, for me at least, it's a way of thinking out loud, I guess. So a lot of the times I would just talk to myself anyway before I started streaming as a way to kind of think about my day, like to take the kind of messy, tangled, knotted up thoughts in my brain and turn them into something a bit more coherent, right? And that was fun. And I did that my whole life, essentially. So I kind of, in a way, had been practicing my whole life for something like this. But there's one issue with doing that. And it's that when you're on your own, you have no way to like get added insight from anyone that's not you, right? And I remember in university, my one of my teachers used to say that there's only so much paddling that you can do in kind of like the shallow pool of the self. You need outside influence to kind of fill up that cup, right? And that's what streaming does here, like with you guys. Often I'm talking out loud about a particular idea, something that I haven't quite fully come to terms with or fully grasped yet. And then it'll be like the missing piece from one of you guys that really just completes the picture. And that's something that I couldn't get before I started streaming. Does that make sense? And so it's almost like we're doing this collaborative thinking, which is so fucking helpful and so gratifying, right? Because, I mean, how, what's the word? How amazing to think that people would be so kind as to share their thoughts and opinions with me, as like a way for me to, I don't know, figure out myself a little bit better or figure out the world or whatever it is I'm thinking about, right? And so it's like this incredible collaborative multi-brain session, which is very fun, insightful, sometimes thirsty, sometimes wildly off track, but that's also part of the fun too. And you don't really get that in many other places, right? I'm so sorry. I told you this has been happening like literally once per stream. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the weather, the actual hardware, or like if I literally just got cursed by some ancient god that somehow is raining terror down upon me. Thank you for your patience. We will get right back into it. Fuck. That's so embarrassing. I'm so flustered. Hopefully we're all back and you can hear me and see me and everything. That's fucked. Why? Yeah, so let's just hope it doesn't happen again. We were talking about what I love about streaming, and there are many reasons. I was just mentioning the fact that it's kind of like a brainstorming session almost between like the streamer and however many people are there watching, listening, offering up their own thoughts. And that's very kind of cool and rare and unique. I was saying how the only other place you really get that is maybe in school, right? Or if you go to a philosophy club or something along those lines, because every other arena in life is maybe less focused on what it means to just think and ponder a particular question and more about kind of getting shit done, right? But here, the getting shit done is actually the thinking, and that's quite a treat, you know? And so, yeah, of course, there are so many other reasons why I love to stream. And I honestly could spend a whole stream talking about why I love to stream. That's a big one. And I don't know if that gets talked about that often. Like if other streamers feel the same way, I think of course they would talk about a sense of community and like what it means to find your people, I suppose. But for me, it's so handy because, you know, you basically find a bunch of like-minded people but who are different enough to kind of fill in the blind spots that maybe you couldn't fill in just on your own. And so, yes, and of course, each and every one of you guys are your own reason. But that's just like off the dome. The first thing that comes to mind, you know, what a wonderful, weird experiment it is. And so, yeah. I apologize about the ads as well. I'm so sorry. It's like, it's compulsory. And every time the stream restarts, they just have to play again. Please forgive me. But anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, it's like a very cool gig, I suppose. And even when I first started and I was terrified out of my mind, I still had that feeling of like, damn, this is kind of addictive, right? It's kind of hard to pull myself away from it sometimes, or hard to see myself not doing this in the future. And so that was the first little inkling that I had that, hang on, this might be my thing. You know what I mean? Or at least a preoccupation of mine that would hopefully become my thing. And so, yeah. Thank you, Elle, for the hydrate. I appreciate it. And again, I'm sorry about the ads. So annoying. Anyway. What was I talking about? I don't even know. At least we're back. A place to belong. That's so beautiful. Yeah, to be important. Honestly, people don't believe me when I say this, which I suppose is fair enough because every content creator says this. But I care about you guys. Like, I think about you when I'm not streaming. Like, I wonder what you're all up to. Sometimes I just check the Discord and, like, kind of see what people have posted. And, you know, Mr. Redcastle was in here just before. I read what he just recently posted in, I think it was a selfies section, which was a beautiful and kind of, like, heart-wrenching tribute to his sister. And it's stuff like that where I'm like, holy crap, I'm so honored that you guys would decide to share those kinds of important moments in your lives. And yeah, it's a very, very great responsibility in the sense that it's huge, right? But also like a pleasure, right? And yeah, just reading stuff like that kind of gets me in the feels. But it's a testament to the bond that we have here, you know? I don't know if a lot of other communities are quite like it. So if I can be so confident in saying that. But and yeah, there's the Discord there. Everyone is welcome to join, you know. It's still growing. It's still kind of a budding, burgeoning community. But it's pretty cool for what it is. There's lots of art, people like sharing their own creations, which is always my favorite part. And yeah, like pretty chill, laid back vibe. So it's just there if you guys want to check it out. And so, yeah, anyway. I've also talked about this before, but there's an added flexibility when it comes to streaming that is quite unmatched in the sense that you can pretty much pick your hours. You can stream when and where you want and talk about what you want. You're not beholden to like a boss looming over your shoulder being like, hey, I thought I said I wanted those reports back by Monday. And it's like, bruh, who are you? Anyway, there's a sense of flexibility that is so important to me. Like I have, like most people, you know, I have obligations in my life that are pretty much non-negotiable. With my family, for instance, my grandma who's pretty sick right now, my creative pursuits, my friends, like stuff like that I actually am now allowed to give the appropriate time to because streaming is so flexible, right? Like yesterday, for instance, with Philosophy Club. Like, I could have bailed early and left like 2 hours into the hangout, but that would have made me feel sad, right? And I would have been doing my friends a disservice. So, like, considering the fact that we meet up like once a month for this club. So, instead of panicking or whatever, I was just like, you know what? I guess I can just stream tomorrow instead. And that's not something you can do with just any job, right? Like, you can't just tell your boss, hey, I'm coming in tomorrow instead because I don't really feel like it. Like, that would not go down that well, right? Streaming is different though. It's so flexible and it gives you basically unlimited methods to kind of making it your own. And it's not lost to me that that is an extremely privileged position to have, right? As well, I've talked about my health and some of those recent concerns that I've had. It's only because of streaming that I've had the free time to like go to the doctor, do blood tests in the middle of the day when most people would be working. To kind of do the step-by-step, sometimes quite arduous process of figuring out what the fuck is going on, right? And most people, like, you know, if they're working a 9 to 5, if they're on a salary or something, like they don't have that luxury. And so it's always something that I'm quite struck by, and it makes me feel quite, I don't know, sometimes in my feels are emotional because it's like, damn, I'm really fucking lucky. Let's not fuck this up. You know what I mean? And when I say not fuck this up, I'm talking about doing right by you guys, making sure that, you know, I show up for these streams when I say I will, or at the very least to make amends when I can't, to not fucking rip you guys off or scam you or like make shitty merch or like, you know, some of the stuff that maybe less savory actors do in their pursuit of like a quick buck, to make sure that you're playing a clean game. And so that's some of the small ways which definitely don't make up for the incredible privilege, but maybe get me closer to feeling like, okay, I'm doing as best as I can right now, in terms of like evening out the scales between the immense privilege and benefits that I get from doing this and what I feel that I can maybe give back, however minor, right? And so that's like so important to me. And I was even talking about it in a previous stream where I was like, I don't know if I can go back to a regular job. Like, I probably will have to eventually, but I won't like it. You know, I won't have that same feeling of like excitement and like, holy shit, what a blessing, what a privilege, what luck is this kind of thoughts that I feel here. I don't feel myself, you know, having the same enthusiasm when it comes to just like a regular, maybe office job, even if I'd be doing something that I like, as in writing or whatever it may be. So that's a few reasons among many that I love streaming. And at the crux of all that is you guys. You guys make it happen. And so it's quite a pleasure, and one that I do not take lightly, if that makes sense. And yeah, I do like to keep a balance where I can. But the thing about being mercurial sometimes is that, well, it's like the quote by Oscar Wilde, everything in moderation, including moderation. Sometimes the balance is just about fucking oscillating back and forth between two extremes until you find some way to just like be comfortable, right? And so, yeah. You guys make me happy, essentially. It's the opposite of ruined. And yeah, if I had to quit streaming, I'd be very sad. But I'd still have the memories and the kind of funny, weird, experimental, thirsty times that we've shared here. And that's something that you can't really put a price tag on, right? It's like, you know, you just have to look back on the catalog of weird shit that we've gotten up to, or the conversations, hopefully somewhat helpful, if not mildly entertaining. It's really quite astounding, you know, and we haven't really even been out here for that long. I've been streaming since last August, and so, is that right? Or was it the August before that? The August before that. And it's kind of like a baby, you know? Like, this channel is in its infancy compared to some of the other kind of heavy hitters out there. And so who knows where we'll be in a couple years. Hopefully still around, right? But no matter what, it's still quite a pleasure to go through the journey. I know it's so cliche. Yeah, the hair gel stream, I know. We've had so many weird ass streams, like, and the postcards and the mementos to prove it. Like, just things that I randomly get the inkling for, like the desire to do. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, guys? Today I'm going to completely fuck up my face somehow. I don't know how, but it's just going to happen. And yeah, it's like those little moments that seem silly, but they really do mean a lot, because I don't really get many other places to be as weird out there and silly as maybe I would like to be, you know? A lot of the time you're expected to just grow up and be an adult, but here there's a bit more leeway, I suppose. A lot more silliness and playfulness, which are some of my, you know, my core tenets. Playfulness especially, to just be open to possibility, to the what ifs. What if I just smeared hair gel all over my hair and face? Or like, you know, to be curious without judgment. So that's something that is very special to me and is made possible again by you guys, so thank you. And yes, we have started saving the VODs. There's actually a new-ish channel run by C Locket with all the VODs saved, the full-length VODs saved, from the start of this year, I believe, which you can check out. I'm really hoping my computer doesn't crash again. And so, yeah, if you missed any of them, you can go back and just like skim through, find the parts where we're doing something absolutely ridiculous, and then see what it was all about. But yeah, it's definitely like born to be silly, forced to be a contributing and functioning member of society. It sucks, right? And so it's a bit like an outlet, I suppose, which, yeah, I don't think is surprising to anyone, and seems quite common actually in terms of what I've heard my streaming friends say. It's a creative outlet, social outlet, and it's also a bit like practice in a way. I mean, I know it's not fully practice because it's actually happening, but in terms of socializing, it's a good way to dip your toes in, I guess, without actually just being too anxious to do it at all. So for me, someone quite socially anxious, doing this is like less stressful than like going up to someone in public and just starting a random conversation. And it's like, you know, it's actually helped, I think, in terms of my anxiety. It's helped kind of get that exposure therapy in a sense to be like, you know what, the sky isn't going to fall down if you just make that appointment, you know, if you call up that place and do that thing you've been putting off because you've been too scared or shy to do it. So that's kind of another thing that I really, really like. But anyway, let me see here. I need to get all my tabs back up again since my computer so rudely interrupted our conversation. Yeah. And of course the friends. That goes without saying. As a chatter in streams, it gives me a popularity in a good way that I've never before experienced in life. That's beautiful. Yeah, I can definitely see how it opens you up to friendships and experiences that you otherwise might not get a chance to experience, right? And so it's kind of like, again, not practice. I think that would be doing a disservice to you guys because we're not practicing socializing right now. We are socializing. But it's a good, like, in between almost, or some other word that's a better descriptor. Because, you know, you get to try things out in a little bit of a sandbox mode. You can be like, you know what? I'm going to be silly today. I'm going to be funny. I'm going to be sexy. I'm going to be whatever it is and just see how it's received. And you can do that as a chatter too, right? Like, obviously, I don't do this as much as I would like, but sometimes I spend time in other streamers' chats and just like enjoy the vibe. And it's sometimes actually quite nice to not be perceived maybe visually or auditorily, but just through the words that you use. And so I can definitely see a comfort or maybe a safety in that, especially someone that likes to write, you know, stories and poems and stuff like that. So, but yeah. Elle wants to know, do you wear shoes outside? Yes, I do. Usually. I mean, if I'm not at the beach or anything like that. Because, you know, you got to wear shoes outside. You might hurt yourself. Inside, not so much. So, affirmation soon. We'll see. We'll see. Because my computer crashed, I'm like, fuck, how long have we been streaming for? Definitely not just 16 minutes. In like an hour or so. Don't you worry. And I'll be happy to introduce some of our new friends to this little tradition of ours. So, I'll get that up and ready. No shoes on sand. Maybe thongs or flip-flops for you Americans out there, especially if the sand is hot. But, you know, as soon as you get to the beach, just chuck off your shoes and Bob's your uncle, so to speak. But anyway. I forgot what I was talking about. I'm just glad to have you guys here and to join me, even though I'm a complete sweaty mess right now. Kazzy, oh my gosh. And this is a perfect time for a raid. Welcome in, friends. Welcome in. It's actually perfect because, you know, we're just talking about our friends across the pond, and Kazzy is one of my streamer friends who, well, he's got that, you know, that kind of, what's the word? That American charm, I suppose. You're an Emmy mess, aka a beauty. That's a very nice thing for you to say. Thank you so much for the raid. Let me shout you out, my friend. Now, this has been kind of glitching recently. I hope this works. And of course, if you need to raid and fade, if you need to just take a break, drink, pee break, look at that face. Do what you gotta do, of course. This man, look at him. Adorable. And yeah, we were just talking actually about, well, streaming in general, but streamer friends and stuff like that. If you want, you can answer this question too. What do you love the most about streaming? And we'll see if our answers are the same. And to any of Kazzy's raiders, my name's Emmy. I'm glad to have you here. I'll take care of you, don't worry. So, yeah. It's hot here. I'm not sure if it's as hot in the US right now, but it's like fucking, I think it was like 30 degrees or maybe even higher, which I don't know how much that is in Fahrenheit, but basically just fucking hot, essentially. So we're just trying to keep as cool as possible because, yeah, if I move around too much, it's game over. So, goodness me. And honestly, I actually didn't really do too much to my face today besides like kind of pretty up some of last night's makeup that's still on my face. But we could maybe even like do something, like do a makeup look or something, because, you know, it's always fun to have something like an activity to do while I'm talking with you guys. It makes me feel like I can almost fidget with something. Let's see. Emto, welcome in. 39 degrees or 102 degrees Fahrenheit here today. That's fucked. Oh god. That's just not right. It's too hot. That's why I'm wearing something that reminds me of, you know, a bit more inviting weather. So, holy shit. Welcome in, welcome in. Kazi says, I love helping people find love. That's my favorite thing. Young people, that's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, there's something really special about the connections that can be made here, which sometimes seems a little bit crazy to outside people, like that don't use Twitch or maybe that aren't online. It feels less real to them, but just because it's not as tangible doesn't mean it's any less real, right? And I've made some lifelong fucking friendships on here that honestly, it was like, how did I not know you until just now? That's kind of the vibe that I felt. And, you know, it's not even about quantity, it's about quality. You know, the feeling of connection that you have with someone. You could just meet someone like 5 minutes ago and have that be as strong as someone that you've known for a very long time. And so, yeah, it's cool. Thank you, Kazi, again for the raid. I appreciate it. And I'll get you back at some point. Anyway, let's see. For today, oh yes, I was going to talk about the substance. I was going to talk about some current events. Oh my gosh, is anyone following the Grammys? Because I'm not really. Is anyone following the AI? Like, what's the word? Kind of upset with DeepSeek. I still have my fingers on the pulse of that because it's really interesting. And yeah, I said on stream that we would use it at some point, but it's still not really functioning right because I feel like it's a two-pronged thing. One, it's been kind of attacked by malicious actors, whoever they may be. And secondly, everyone in the world is trying to access it, so it's kind of overloaded right now. But mark my words, DeepSeek AI will probably try out at some point because it's fucking fascinating. And the fact that you can like actually read how it thinks is so like, I don't know, it's so different to I guess what we've seen before in terms of AI. And it's very humanistic, which is, I guess, either cool or terrifying, depending on how you look at it. But so far, I've only been able to play with it a really tiny bit because if you send it more than like 2 messages, it just says, oh, the server is busy, try again later. And so, yeah, it still might need a week or 2 for the dust to kind of settle. Because it's, yeah, I mean, it crashed NVIDIA's stock value like fucking crazy, right? But anyway. Let's see. That is maybe more involved and more niche than, yeah, a general conversation for today. And, fuck. I mean, DeepSeek also has some controversy surrounding it, which maybe we can spend some time talking about in a future stream, because I need to do more research first. But it's kind of fascinating to me, the whole story from start to finish. Definitely that idea of like a technological or AI Cold War between the US and China. I don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out. Hopefully in not too of a bloody way, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it can be scary. Anyway, Elle, thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see you again soon, and I hope you feel better, like quick smart. You'll be back to feeling schmicko in no time, which is basically like, you know, perfect. So Um, yeah, I I don't really know what we're gonna do for today besides what we normally do. Um, what do I think extensively about Elvis? I think Elvis is an interesting character. I've written about him before. I've gone to Elvis festivals, week long Elvis festivals. I know that he's mired in controversy, and I'm not here to talk about his controversial moments. Um, I think he was basically the first person to reach that level of mega stardom, and I'm curious about what that does to a person. Like, what happens when you're kind of maybe flattened from a person into more of a mythological figure? People were obsessed and still are, right? His reputation kind of outgrew the man himself. And I wonder, like, does that fuck you up, like, psychologically? How could it not? And of course, I think with his kind of sensational life in all manners of the word, it seems like totally ripe for people to examine from every which angle. The what ifs, and with his untimely passing, it's like, well, yeah, it's a tragic story, which I think has captured people's fascination and will continue to do so. Yeah, how do you live up to your own legend? That's so true. And, I'm not discounting any of the allegedly less than savory things he may or may not have done, but it's like, holy shit. I still think he contributed something tangible, real, and positive to the world, not only in terms of his music, but in some of his, what's the word? His kind of mannerisms or his philosophy in life. Generosity, tenderness, taking the young women in his fan base seriously, essentially, besides the womanizing and stuff like that. I've said this before, but at the time, the peak of Elvis's fame, I feel like young women and their interests were treated as kind of like frivolous, silly little things that weren't really meant to be given much thought or taken seriously. But Elvis treated each one of his fans with such gentleness and such tenderness. He treated them like people and like their interests were worth listening to. And I think that really resonated. And of course, not to mention his ridiculous good looks. It's like the complete package, essentially. I wouldn't be surprised if his mega stardom and of course all the drugs and everything ended up kind of clouding some of that vision, right? But it's not the first time. It's not like, what's the word? It's not the only time that kind of thing has happened, right? Like, you see it nowadays in Hollywood with celebrities. If they reach that level of super stardom, it's like it either goes one of two ways. They literally lose their fucking minds and jump off the deep end, or they maybe somehow manage to stay relatively sane and kind of gracefully exit the limelight when it's time. But more often than not, you see the first, because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of ruthless out there. It's cutthroat. It's designed to be crazy making. And when you have everything given to you, when money is no object and people are willing to do anything, it seems very obvious that things can go awry, Unlimited drugs, unlimited girls, unlimited everything. It's a life of decadence and excess, and we know from our studies here that decadence, while interesting and fun in theory, can lead to some pretty devastating results, Yeah, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and psych wards is true. And so it's interesting. And I feel like often, I think, Hoop, you're on the right track. People forget that Elvis, in his like family tree, like had some kind of generational chronic illnesses, both physical and mental. And so people saying, oh, he died because of all the drugs he took. And while that is true, I think people fail to realize that with the drugs he was taking, it's almost like backwards, like thinking. He was self-medicating because of these various conditions. Like, of course, his family had like heart conditions, like his parents or whatever. They had like extra things going on with their like bodies and minds that meant that he was quite often in a lot of pain. He he also suffered a couple of injuries as well that left him really fucked up for a while. And, you know, when you're just forced to perform, there's no time off. Like, the only way you can really get by is through taking shit tons of drugs. And so people don't realize that the drugs, while surely some of them were also recreational, a lot of the time he was trying to fix a problem instead of like creating a problem from scratch. And so, yeah, it's this very horrible cyclical thing. But yeah, it's unfortunate because I feel sympathy for the man, and especially since his death is often treated like a punchline, because, you know, oh, he died on the toilet, ha ha ha, and it's like, yeah, that seems pretty horrible to me. And considering how much potential he had, I would have loved to hear like 80s and 90s style Elvis, you know, like what he would have done, who he would have collaborated with. Though perhaps, you know, I've said this before, it may be unfounded, but I have a feeling he may have gotten cancelled if he did stick around any longer. But yeah, it's interesting, right? I've almost Elvised myself a few times. That's funny. It's like, you know, he was kind of a chill guy from, you know, I didn't know him personally, but from what I've read and like from what I kind of gathered, he could have a laugh at himself. And I think there's appropriate ways to kind of deal with his legacy and of course his death, and inappropriate / mean-spirited ways, right? A lot of the time, I think, especially if you're not in that world, you just think of Elvis as like, oh, the fat guy who did Vegas like residency, right? Died on the toilet, haha. But it's a lot more interesting than that, and I feel like that's what people sometimes miss. And of course, I didn't really know much about Elvis at all before I saw the 2022 movie, so I can't really speak. But yeah, it's an interesting tale, that's all I'll say. You guys have heard me talk about him in great depth. And there's a lot there that is funny, that's the thing. So, yeah. Like the fucking peanut butter and jelly and bacon sandwich and stuff like that. It's over the top, it's excessive, it's literally larger than life in the same way that he and his legacy became. You know. And there are a lot of artists even nowadays that credit him as their inspiration. So quite interesting to me. And yes, very tragic. It's tragic to die on the toilet, you know, well before your time. If I had a device to travel to parallel universes, I would gather up pop culture, songs from people who in our universe have now since passed. That's a fantastic, yeah, that's a great little story idea. It's like what could have been almost. And you know, Elvis is not the only story, as in being taken too soon. You have people like Amy Winehouse, of course, and not even just musicians, like other artists or, you know, like people in general. Of course, you have Heath Ledger, you have, is it River Phoenix? Like these people that, you know, it just makes you wonder what could have happened if they didn't pass so tragically so soon. It's fascinating, sometimes a little bit sad, but it makes me realize and remember that, you know, we get one life as far as we know. It's best to make the most out of it and just live in a way that makes you happy. I can't say what that might be. I can only know what that is for myself. But to try and just like, you know, yeah, kind of let them live on through you by not holding back, living in the best way that you can. Fucking YOLO, that's exactly right. And Mr. Redcastle, I was actually talking about you just before. Your beautiful, like, memorial tattoo. Such a beautiful story, and one that I felt so, like, utterly grateful to read. You know, that's an exact example of what I'm talking about. To let people live through you and to basically do them proud. And I think you're definitely doing that. So, yeah, it made me want to cry as well, but, you know, kind of like happy, sentimental tears, essentially. And so, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes people clown on me because when they think of Elvis, they think, oh, his 14-year-old wife. And it's like, Well, no. They did meet when she was 14, and then they didn't see each other for like multiple years, and then they re-met when she was like an adult. But of course, that's less fun to talk about, right? So it's just kind of like, oh, I don't know. It's kind of interesting and scary to me how quickly a rumor can spread online. It's like wildfire, essentially. I could say something here like, oh, did you know, Germa actually texted Emmy last night saying, are you up? I could just say that, and like, you know, in a day's time, it could come all the way back around, and like my mom could be like, "Did Gemma text you?" Like, no, that was just fake. But it's like so interesting, and the thing I've learned actually, which I don't think I came up with this, though I can't remember where I saw this. It's like, it's not the most correct, like, fact that will spread through the internet. It's the most interesting. And so if you can come up with something interesting, no matter how true, correct, accurate, or, you know, even fair it is, like that is what's going to be the common narrative. And so you have to be careful out there, you know? And it's, yeah, you see it all the time. I can't imagine how maddening it must be for the person actually affected. I'm lucky that that hasn't really happened. I hope it doesn't. But, you know, I suppose most people, if they're savvy enough, they just kind of take it on the chin and use it as more like, I don't know, fodder to increase their influence, to become more famous or whatever it is their goal is. But yeah, it just seems kind of crazy because it's like, literally, we're in a post-truth world, which sounds wankerish and like straight out of a high school philosophy class, but it's true, you know? It doesn't really matter what actually happened, at least not online. Especially since we're living in such a, you know, kind of fragmented, everyone wants a piece of your attention world. Whatever will get the job done is the kind of morally correct way to go, you know, in that line of thought. So it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary, guys. But yes, Germa did actually text me saying you up. So I thought I'd just mention it. You know, just thought I'd mention it. Like, just thought I'd say it. Because it actually did happen, and like, it's real. Anyway, I'll stop. What's one thing I'd want to be remembered for? Good question. One thing? I guess I'd like to be known as a good friend to people. Like, in my personal life. Of course, online I do my best, but there's just inherently an imbalance in power. And as much as I would like, I can't give everyone my undivided attention. It's necessarily divided, is what I'm saying, which sucks. In real life, though, I'd hope that I can be a good friend to people, you know? Like, actually caring about what they say, giving them thoughtful gifts, you know, just like all things that friends do. And yeah, it's like, it's not something that just happens by accident. It's purposeful. I want to be someone that is reliable, I guess relatively easy to get along with, but not a pushover if I can help it. Someone who is open, generous, like those things make a good friend. And especially because I'm so lucky and I have such wonderful friends, the bar is set pretty high. So it's always keeping me on my toes. And yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's a good problem to have, essentially. If I had less good friends, shall I say, I think I would be worse off, you know. We've said this before, but there's this saying that goes along the lines of, you are an amalgamation of like the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that can be a wake-up call to some people. It's like, well, do I like the people that I spend the most time with? And if you don't, that could be a sign, essentially, to maybe switch it up a little, or to examine why that may be. Sometimes it's unavoidable, right? Like sometimes you can't help your situation if you're in school or if you have a family life where you can't really extricate yourself from it. But for what you can control, it's always nice to take stock and be like, well, do these people have goals, thoughts, opinions, morals that align with my own? If they don't, why and how much am I willing to let slide before it's like, oh, actually, this is too much of an, I guess, infraction. Is that the word? On my personal feelings. So, anyway, that's one thing. If I had to choose. And of course, you guys are wonderful friends as well. And I wish I could be more present. But again, unless we do an EmmyCon 2026, I don't know. Like, it's possible. Oh gosh. And I welcome in MD, Punch Drinker. I'm glad to have you guys here. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'll remember you as a pushover. It's okay if you do. I mean, I feel like another part of growing up is kind of letting people have their thoughts about you. Because if you stick too closely to trying to change how people see you, you just drive yourself crazy, right? And so that's something I had to learn very early on, because otherwise you won't survive, essentially. People will have their own thoughts about you. They will, either rightly or not, decide how they feel if you're and so yeah, it's something that in real life maybe I'm more concerned by it, but online it's just part of the Wild West, you know. How much would I charge? It'll be free. Anyone's allowed, you know. You just have to maybe write a poem. That's your entry ticket. So oh gosh. Free 99, that's right. Oh gosh. But yeah, anyway. I think I do like where I'm at currently. Of course, there's always room for improvement. If you hit a point where you're like, oh, I'm perfect, there's nothing that I would change, then that's maybe a false sense of security. But to be at peace maybe is a good place to be. Because it's hard to get somewhere through pure self-hatred, you know what I mean? It's possible, it's just maybe less fun, less nourishing. To get where you need to go, usually it involves a huge heaping dose of just like self-love. I don't know how it sounds, but it's true. You can't, like, if you don't believe in yourself and you don't show up for yourself, you won't get anywhere. So you have to kind of be like, well, no matter how I feel right now, let's just try. Try, baby, try. That's what my auntie always says. And to be open is, I think, a good way to go about it. Because, you know, you never know. Possibilities are endless. You might accidentally stumble across something that totally changes your life, hopefully for the better. And, you know, sometimes for the worse. It's possible. But it's like part of the journey. But that being said, again, I'm not some life spiritual coach. I don't know shit, guys. Don't get your life advice from me. I'm still figuring it out too. So, you know, for better or for worse, it's real. Yeah, I don't know. Guys, it's very flattering. You guys are very, like, interested, but I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, maybe I'll have a totally different opinion in a year or even less. So, it's so ever shifting, ever mercurial, and yeah, it's like in flux, essentially. Just your local humble poetry enthusiast. That's exactly right. You know, you're just your humble, your average licensed sex poet. Nothing more, nothing less. And so I just want to make that clear. I don't know shit, guys. I'm not some prophet, you know, with all the answers. Oh gosh. And it has a poem, so you know your entrance is guaranteed to EmmyCon whenever it happens. Emmy, a gem, a star. The vibes are present, a legend by far. Heartbreak Hotel, Lonely Street ain't the way, but hunker, burn in love. That's what we feel today and every day. I love it. Yeah, see, it's as simple as that, guys. If you produce one poem for your ticket, then how could I say no? It's like, that's all I could ever ask for. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's crazy. And I forgot what I was going to say. You just blew me away with that poem. Yeah, I'm not a prophet. I'm not in possession of any answers. Unfortunately for you guys, you have joined the wrong cult and it's non-refundable. Whoopsie. Hopefully you enjoy this day because you have no choice. Yeah. I would also say be wary of anyone that does say they have all the answers. Those are the ones you have to look out for. Because it's like, well, do you? Because, you know, it can be comforting to turn to those people, but you don't know what they may secretly have as their intentions. You know, ulterior motive type beat. I was only going to waste my soul on art anyway. I think that's perfect use, not waste, of a soul. And honestly, out of everything, that seems like a good choice. What else could one spend their soul on if not art and the pursuit of it, sharing it, making it, enjoying it, etc. Thoughts on the current state of Happy Meal toys? Well, it's been a hot minute since I've had Maccas. You guys know me, my New Year's resolution like 4 or 5 years back now was to not have Maccas again. So I haven't had, like, I haven't been near a Macca's in like that long. It's been even longer since I've had a Happy Meal. But if I can judge based on the state of the world and the kind of gradual and shitification of most things, not good. So someone will have to fill me in though. How's it looking? How's the prognosis? Because I remember like when I was a kid, we'd get like glasses, you know, like drinking glasses from like the Happy Meal toys and stuff. I don't know. Do they still do that? We get really happy about the Macca's Monopoly, and when it said stuff like 1 in 2 chance to win, like, so if I buy 2, I'm guaranteed to win. And someone fault my logic, because I'm still pretty sure that's solid. Oh gosh. Anyway, and yes, there is a fine line between fishing and standing on the harbor like an idiot. You know, sometimes you can just enjoy the standing there. But it's true to like know, to know what your goal is, what your expectations are, who can help you, etc., etc. You know, information is power, and you can only be better off through like trying, failing, learning, failing, trying again, and there's something nice about that. You know, you don't have to be perfect on the first try. You can stand on the harbor for a little bit trying to fish and not bring out anything, but have learnt something still valuable. That's at least what I try to tell myself when I'm like knuckle deep in some kind of discipline, like writing, painting, or whatever it is, and I'm like, wow, I fucking suck at this. I should just stop right now. But you know, it's yeah, it's the eternal artist's dilemma, where it's like I don't want to try if I'm not going to be good at it. But you can't get good at it if you don't try. So it's like you kind of have to be a little bit shit for a while before you actually get a nibble, for using the fishing metaphor, I suppose. I'm mixing metaphors, but you know, just, you guys get me. Yeah, painting stream when? We'll see. I don't know, guys. Considering all my friends are really good artists, like visual artists, and then you just see my skills and it's like, yeah. Don't quit your day job type beat. It might take some convincing, but it's not out of the question. That's the thing. It's definitely not out of the question. Lots of different streams in the future as well, besides these ones where we just kind of catch up, which is obviously my favorite. So yeah, hopefully when my computer actually gets a grip and it starts getting cooler here, because so far I've been unimpressed with with the kind of crashing, the constant crashing of my computer. Even now I can feel it. It's like really struggling. It's literally too hot to the touch, which is probably a bad thing, right? A bad idea. But what can you really do? It did crash today. Yes, it did. Anyway, computer fund, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if it's like, what is the issue? I don't know. Um, but yeah. Just like looking at myself here and I'm like, whoa, I really look like I'm on a tropical vacation. You guys want to see the full fit again? It's nothing special really, and honestly, I have no real swag slash style. I just like wear a top and a bottom and I'm like, that's good. Here. Ta-da. T-posing with pants. Don't worry. Or should I put it back like that? I don't know. Or like up here. Surfer, dude. Yeah, I feel like a surfer, mate. You look like you're about to steal cars in Vice City. Oh, that's funny. Grand Theft Emmy type beat. That's real. The ooh-woo, that's crazy. Yeah, like I said, it's nothing special. But damn, the colors are actually showing up so well on this camera. Like, it looks pretty close to that in real life. But it looks especially vibrant up here. Google his shirt. Okay. Vice City. Oh my god, why is that so fucking true? Okay. I'll show you guys. I just need a gun. No, don't quote me on that. Yeah. And Elle, welcome back. Though I'm sorry to say that you couldn't sleep. Hopefully, I can bore you enough to maybe get you there. What do you guys think? I've even got the chain. Got the chain? Yeah, I just need a gun, guys. I'm walking here. Actually, I don't know. Got the popped collar. I was thinking about having it like this. But it doesn't really stay up, does it? So, pew pew. Yeah. This is my soulmate. That's real. I wonder if that was actually the inspo. Like, it's pretty fucking close. What do you guys think? T-posing for your pleasure. Okay, that's enough. It's 1-to-1, yeah. Oh god. Pretty close. But unfortunately, no, I don't have a prop gun or a real gun, so definitely a Hawaiian vibe for sure. I'd let you rob me. That's that's crazy work and very funny. Oh, stop. What's like the opposite of robbing someone? Like putting something in their pocket? Yeah. Don't worry, guys. You're at no risk of getting robbed. Giving, yeah. I like slip a little thick sticker into each of your pockets while you're not looking. Is it robbery if it's given willingly? Again, I'm not going to coerce or otherwise like solicit any kind of anything like that. I'd let you pick me up in a car and then run me over to get your cash back. That's... Please, guys. You know what that reminds me of? Like the BuzzFeed thirst tweets that celebrities read sometimes, where they're like, I would let you run me over with your car. And then I would say thank you. And it's like... Huh. How many wanted stars? 5 out of 5, baby. You know how it is. Always wanted. Yeah, reverse robbery, that's right. The fanfics, that's hilarious. Oh god. Don't worry, guys. You know what's weird, actually? Continuing the... Like, doesn't this look perfectly part of the color scheme? Sorry, was that too loud? Sans in Miami fanfic is crazy. These are mints. which have expired by a month. What can you do? I'm just like, I'm hard like that. I'm just like kind of, you know, a bit of a gangster like that. So I'll try not to die. Oh gosh. Anyway, sorry. I'm still really fucking sweaty. Can you guys hear the fan? I hope not. Yeah, a month expired. I'm just kind of, you know, I'm a bit of a daredevil, so. Oh gosh. I don't think it'd be the mints that kill you. Oh gosh. Hopefully not the the 5 wanted stars that are alerting the police to my current location. The opposite to robbery in this context would be planting. Yeah, I'd plant a pathic one of these in your pocket, and it's set to go off like explode with confetti at the worst possible moment. Like, I don't know, when... Let's see, actually. When you're taking your most important exam for school, and it's all quiet and everyone's focusing, this little guy would just explode, showering everyone in confetti and kicking you out of the room. That's just my nefarious ways. Sorry, guys. Mr. Redcastle, that's crazy. That's a generous amount of crack we'll be getting caught with. Very clever. And fuck you, because I wish I thought of that. You know when someone says something so damn good, you're just like, well, wow. We are now enemies. We're now adversaries. That was good. I liked it. Oh gosh. I know I haven't shown you guys Pathick in a while. He's just been virtually dancing his booty off in the corner there. But where is he? I think my mom has him. Fuck me, don't threaten me with a good thing. Okay, guys, Miami Emmy has now been retired because I don't think I can like survive that lifestyle essentially. It's definitely the booty on duty. Oh fuck. I'm not built for that like hard gangster lifestyle, you know. Guys, you know the story. One time I woke up irritated because I was accidentally sleeping on a tissue. True story. It was scrunched up, like, but still, it woke me up. I was like, oh, what's this in my side? Like the shittier version of Princess and the Pea. And so, yeah, I'm not really designed for that lifestyle. But I can dress like it. I can be a total imposter, right? It was a tissue like this. But it was bunched up. It was like that. So it was like in my side. I was like trying to sleep and I was like, what is this thing? It's like disturbing my sleep. Oh, it's tissue. And so, yeah. Then I just rolled my eyes at myself and went back to sleep, so. A Sixth Sense, yeah, I think so. Princess and the Paper. Oh my god, Mr. Redcastle. You're on fire, what the fuck? It's true. Sorry. The Princess and the Pea, it's like, that story sounds made up, but it's 100% true. And my brother, like if I called my brother right now, he could testify for me. Because like I told him that story and he's like, what's wrong with you? Oh gosh. So, yeah. Anyway. The Princess and the Pea is like a fairy tale about, well, it's a long story actually, but essentially there's a princess who goes to sleep at a prince's castle because it was like storming outside, and they have like a bed with like 50 mattresses, one on top of the other, with a little like frozen pea at the very bottom underneath everything. And the prince was like, you know, he's been searching this whole land for the one girl so dainty and tender enough that she could actually notice it. All the other princesses that he'd housed would have been like, oh, I had a wonderful sleep, thank you so much, right? But that princess who came in, she was like, "Oh, I had the worst sleep. There was something like in my side that I couldn't get out. I don't know what it was." And he was like, "Oh, that's the one." So, moral of the story is complaining will get you everywhere. And it's kind of cute because it's like, being honest actually prevails. But I don't know, surely Mythbusters had done like a test of that, if you could actually feel it, right? I don't think you could feel a frozen pea under 50 mattresses, but I did feel a tissue, which is almost, it's as close as you can possibly get to being like two-dimensional. So I don't know, maybe I stand corrected. It's possible. Yeah, so start complaining now just in case a prince appears. Exactly. That's how you win a man or a woman or anyone in between. Say, "Oh, I'm so dainty and tender and fragile." Done. That's all you got to do, essentially. Well, yeah. Yeah, I like to think he wanted a partner that would challenge him. That's the I think the right way to look at that story. Or like the intended way is I think the word I was looking for. But I always found it very funny because it was like, yeah, you just think that after all her complaining that she would just be sent away. But no, that's exactly what it was looking for. A strong, independent woman who knows when to speak her mind. And so, yeah, that's an old childhood story I remember reading, being like, oh, okay. Interesting. Take notes, guys. I swear, it'll maybe come in handy. Where would I rank it? My favorite fairy tale, or my favorite Disney... Is it Disney? Fuck, I don't even know now. My favorite story was Sleeping Beauty because of the movie and her beautiful hair, which was so bouncy and lush, right? And the beautiful dress, the pink dress that she wears. And of course the song. I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. Like, I was obsessed with that song, right? But in terms of fairy tales that I read, actually it's one that my mum made up. When I was a kid, she used to like make up stories like as she was like getting us to go to bed, and she told us this story that was very, very funny about 3 monkeys. And maybe that's why monkeys are my favorite animal. I may have told you guys this before. But yeah, it's very funny, and I always thought that she'd been reading it from somewhere, but it turned out that she'd actually just made it up. And so, yeah. It's a very cute story. Maybe after these ads, because we're starting ads in like 10 seconds, I can recount as much as I can remember of it for you guys. It's very simple, but it's been a while, of course, since I've heard it. So, Cody's favorite fairy tale was, oh, Teeny Tiny. That's so cute. I remember there was one, for some reason that just reminded me, like Jacob Tutu. And yeah, a couple of others that I read when I was in primary school that I really liked. And maybe, yeah, you could say too old for fairy tales, but honestly, I don't think you're ever too old. And what else? Roald Dahl's stories, like, those are some classics. I don't think you can call them fairy tales, but like in terms of stories in general, I used to read those and really, really, like, be amazed. Like, wow, it's crazy. But yeah. Yeah, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is epic. I always remember being like, damn, I wish that would happen in real life. Yeah, I want some ice cream to fall directly into my mouth. That would be amazing. And yeah, I think that counts. In my mind, that counts in terms of stories, fairy tales, etc. It's like fantastical and marvelous. So, let's see. My favorite Pixar movie, The Incredibles, probably. Is that a Pixar movie? I fucking love The Incredibles. It's such an interesting, like, well-crafted in all angles story. I'm talking specifically about the first one, but I didn't mind the sequel, so. Wife material. Wow, I didn't realize that would be such a popular answer. But yeah, I mean, lots of Pixar movies are pretty good. And their competitor, I suppose, DreamWorks as well. Like Shrek. How could you not answer Shrek for DreamWorks? Or Cat in the Hat. But yeah. I mean, Elastigirl. Yes, enough said. Is The Incredible 3 going to be good? Is there a third one? Fuck, that's crazy. I remember the sequel and maybe a spin-off with like the baby. I don't know. Jack, the baby's name. I thought that was a bit OP that he had like a fucking, 100 different powers. But anyway, goodness gracious. Yeah, so after these ads, I will tell you guys the story that my mum made up when I was a kid to like get me and my siblings to go to sleep. And let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, story time, that's right. God, I'm trying to remember it. I might have to just ring her up. Like, what do you guys think? Should I? Maybe. She might be, I don't want to disturb her. I don't know what she's up to. I could see if she remembers it. And maybe get her to, like, to tell it to you guys, as if she's putting you to sleep. On speaker. I could. Could I just, like, surprise her? Okay. Let's see if she answers first, and then we'll go from there. My beautiful mother. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm being so rude. I swear I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just trying to find... Okay.
Your call has been forwarded.
Shit. I thought they were gonna say 2-0. Oh, okay. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hey mom, I'm streaming right now. Do you have a second to talk?
Hang on a second. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
I'm streaming right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Do you have a second to talk?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. I won't take up too much of your time.
Okay.
I just have a question.
Yeah?
Do you remember when we were kids and you told us like bedtime stories to get us to sleep?
Yeah.
Do you remember the story about the monkeys?
The ones with the bananas?
Yes. Did you make that up?
I think Daddy made it up.
Oh, really?
One of us had made it up.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Do you remember the gist of it?
I can't remember it.
You can't remember it. Maybe.
About bananas in the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't remember. Oh, I made it up.
You don't remember it? Didn't you write
Nah.
it down somewhere?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't think.
I think I remember part of it. I'm gonna try and tell it on stream, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Just wanted to say hi.
Bye.
And my chat is saying that they love you.
Oh. I can't talk much because I've had my wisdom teeth out today.
Oh shit, okay. Do you want me to come visit after?
No, it's alright. It's a bit late. That's alright.
It's never too late for you guys.
No, because I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed soon, so.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
That's alright. Yeah, come tomorrow.
Okay, I'll come tomorrow.
Yeah. Alright.
Alright, love you.
Love you too. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
She was at my grandma's house. I could hear everyone in the background. So, it's disputed who made the story. It could be mum, it could be dad. I'm pretty sure it was mum though. And I remember just enough to kind of retell it to you guys. Okay. It's basically like a spin-off of the Three Little Pigs. So I'm gonna do my best, right? Get comfy, get cozy. This is a story about three little monkeys. Now, these three little monkeys were hanging out in the jungle, and they were best friends, so they had lots of fun together. However, they desperately needed a place to sleep, because right now they were just kind of kicking it without a bed or any place to call home. So, what they decided to do, the first monkey, he built his house out of bananas that he could find. And it was a beautiful house. It was massive. It was like a mansion, right? It was like a beautiful palace with an ensuite and a walk-in wardrobe and even a banana spa, which was really popular. It took him all day and all night to make this beautiful house. And yes, it did smell like bananas. It was a labor of love, and by the time he was finished, he was utterly exhausted, but also very hungry after working all day and all night without eating anything. So, what happened was, he said, well, what's one little banana? You know, it's right there. I might as well just eat that and call it a day. So he took a banana out of the wall and just ate it to soothe the grumbling in his tummy. But that one banana didn't really do the trick. He was still hungry. After all, it was a lot of work. So he said, what's one more little banana? It should be fine. It's, the whole house is made out of bananas, so nothing should go wrong, right? And so he ate another one, just right out of the wall. And so on and so forth, since his hunger would not dissipate until he was surrounded by a complete mountain of banana peels and nowhere to sleep. He'd eaten his whole house. So that was not ideal, right? He basically started back at square one. Oh god, this is gonna crack me up. He ate his entire house. The next monkey tried to learn from his best friend's mistakes, right? So instead of bananas, he thought of something else. What could I build my house out of that would be a bit stronger, a bit more structurally sound, and that he wouldn't be tempted to eat, once he got hungry? He thought, I know, I'm gonna make my house out of coconuts. And so he did basically the same thing as the first monkey. Massive mansion with all the trimmings, right? A theater room, very snazzy. Even outdoor like tennis court, everything made out of coconuts. And so you guys are cracking me up. He spent all day and all night working on this house of his out of coconuts. It was a marvel to behold. It was beautiful. Until he got to the end, where he was utterly exhausted and wickedly thirsty. So he thought to himself, oh, what can I do? You can't live without drinking. You can't live without some liquid in you. And so he thought, it should be fine if I just cut open just one of the coconuts. It's like no harm done, And so he did exactly that. He split one of the coconuts open and drank all the delicious coconut water inside. And it was amazing. It was the best coconut water, or any water, frankly, that this little monkey had ever had. And so, of course, it was too impossible to stop at just one. He cracked another one open, drank that, and then another one, and then another one, until, like the first one, he was left surrounded by split open coconuts and nowhere to sleep. And so the third monkey was like, okay, I really need to make sure that I learn from these earlier mishaps, because he'd seen what they'd done. And he was like, that's not about to be me type beat. And so I don't quite remember how it ends, but this is like my new and improved version. Well, new, not necessarily improved. The last monkey said, you know what? I'm going to make my house out of palm leaves from the palm trees, right? And again, he spent all day and all night making a beautiful house. And it was the most luxurious palm tree house that you'd ever seen, with all these separate rooms, even like an adventure course for the monkeys to play around in. And when he was finally finished, he was not hungry or thirsty because his monkey friends had bought the coconuts, the leftover coconuts and the leftover bananas. And so he invited his monkey friends to live with him in this palm house, and they lived happily ever after. That's the story. And I'm pretty sure the last bit is, like, I just made that up on the spot, but my mum actually had a proper ending for it. It ended with them living all together happily ever after. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. And I'd always ask, Mom, can you tell the same monkey story? And one day I think she even wrote it down. I'm almost certain. Like, this is not a false implanted memory. It's like she made like a little book that she just typed up herself, right? And it's somewhere out there. I don't know where. But if I end up finding it one day, I'll show you guys and read the actual real version to you guys. Yeah, the monkey did not eat the palm leaves. But it's such a sweet story. And yeah, again, I didn't realize it until just before, but maybe that is where my baby monkey fascination started, right back when I was a child, you know? And so, yeah, that's like a nice little memory. I don't know how I remembered that. Like, I feel like the banana and coconut monkeys would have been horrendous roommates. That's so funny. And I wonder if my mum was modeling it after myself and my siblings. I'm not sure. Obviously, there's like 3 of us, but 3s in general are pretty, like, they're pretty classic in a story. You got the 3 little pigs, etc., 3 little bears. And so, yeah, she just, whipped that up one day, and I was like, damn. I actually couldn't remember if it was like a real story, or like that was actually published out there, or if she just made it up. But there you go, there's confirmation. And there were a few others, though they're a bit fuzzier. This was like when I was fucking like 5 or 6 years old. So, and yeah, the 3 Musketeers, that's exactly right. So it's like, yeah, just like a total Jimmy Neutron like brainwave. But yeah, the first 2 monkeys, they got it pretty sweet. They got to eat and drink all they wanted and then just live rent-free. You're so right, see, look it. But it's a very cute little story. I hope you guys liked it. Honestly, I can relate. Like, when it comes to spending so much time doing something, or especially, cooking-wise, it takes so long to make, and then like a split second to just devour it instantly. And then you're like, oh shit, I was going to save some of that for tomorrow, but yeah, I guess not. It's too yummy. Elle, thank you for the stretch as well. Guys, if you have the space, the ability, without being looked at like a weirdo, and the desire to stretch, please join me. It's nice after sitting down for so long and just staying in one spot. God. And yeah, I hope you like that little story. Major respect, welcome in. What would I know about slaving away making a luscious meal? It's true, I don't know much. Honestly, the most luscious meal that I make by myself is kind of just like 2 packets of ramen and just like boiling the water. I'm like, damn. Gordon Ramsay, eat your heart out. And so, yeah. Deviled eggs, yeah. I have my moments. But in general, it's more about like that idea of planning for the future and then immediately like going back on that plan. Like, yeah, I'll split this up. I'll meal prep, It's like, no. Oh, dang it. And yeah. That's just the story of my life. But anyway. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's just about time for our affirmations. And our new friends, I'm so glad you get to see this for the first time, because this is something we do once per stream. But it's always nice when people are like, oh, what's all this about? Our affirmations for today, yes, we've officially arrived at Affirmation Station. And so let me bring them up here. My notepad, my trusty notepad. And let's see, that's good. Yeah, so hopefully this will inspire just a little bit of good feeling in whoever really needs to hear this right now. Because since learning that not everyone hears these words like daily in their lives, it's been my mission to change that. So, you know, it's nice to be affirmed, I suppose. And so through no skill of my own and purely just ripping off Amy Walker's words, here I am, ready to present my special affirmations. So, without further ado, yes, you are. You are ready. You are equipped. You are connected. You are unique. You are gorgeous. You are loved. And my personal favorite, you are alive. So, thank you for being here in this stream, just chilling with me, somehow getting through this horrible heat, but more importantly, for being here on this earth in general. I know that it's not always easy, but it is always, 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 always important. And I do believe we can make life good for one another. So, stick around. I think that's worth fighting for. As for streaming, I stream every second day, usually starting at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time currently. It always swaps, but yeah. That is a little gift from Amy Walker to you guys. I'm just the middleman, but it's helpful, you know. And no matter how you're feeling right now, like, I hope they bring you some level of maybe peace, something like that. But yeah. And to all the zombies or vampires out there, I'm sorry, but I guess in a way they're alive, but not biologically. You can be alive in spirit. So there you go. Anyway, let's come back here. Yeah, now is maybe a good time for me to take a short break. I'll refill my bottle since it's looking a little bit grim, and I'll let you guys enjoy this funky music. But don't worry, because I'll be right back in probably a minute or so. And yeah, we'll keep this party going, essentially. So don't go anywhere, or do. It's a nice time to also stretch and get yourself situated. I will be back shortly. So enjoy this music. Okie dokie, and we're back. And actually, you know, our tradition is also to do a little plug after our affirmation. So, guys, feast your eyes and your ears. If you're curious about, you know, some of the merch that we have on offer here, well, you're in luck because I'm about to show you in high explicit detail. Let's see, full screen. The Poetic Shop is my pride and joy. Thank you for the warm welcome. Thank you guys. Yeah, the surfer life is never too far away from me. We got everything here. Posters, stickers, postcards. We got mugs, we've got toys, we've got apparel. And the best part is that it's all made right at home. Not here, but my mum's house. We make it together. And with blood, sweat and tears, you know, we do everything ourselves except for the mug. So, you know, if you're curious about, well, about what we get up to, essentially, this is the place to go. And here's the link. I won't belabor the point too much, but we put so much like love and effort into these. It's really our passion project, and so it's my pleasure to show them off to you. Like, especially some of the, I don't know, the more inside joke like pieces, like the postcards. It's nice because it's like a collaboration, and so yeah, that's like, I don't know, it's something very special to me. And the support ends up going back into this channel, my ability to stream full time essentially, and of course I end up paying my mum and my auntie fairly for their time and their labor. So it's a cool little corner of the internet. And I know some of you are living in kind of cold climates right now. The hoodies are pretty dang good. Not just the actual, I guess, design, which is my handwriting, but the material. It's like super warm, super soft. And back when it was cooler here in Victoria, I was wearing the Emmy hoodie around all the time. So, despite how wankerish it might appear. And so there you go. A little plug over in a flash. It wasn't too painful, was it? Hopefully not. And yeah, sweating in the cold type beat. It's kind of a ever growing, I guess, store. And so if nothing caught your eye just then, hopefully in the future something might, you know? So anyway, we're back now. Streams in general typically go for like 4-ish hours. And so we're halfway, baby. It depends though. I think last time I went a bit over just because I was so fascinated in our conversation. But yeah. So what else was I gonna say? I can't remember. I cannot remember what I was gonna say. How sick are those lights in the background? Pretty cool, right? That was also thanks to you guys, like your support and, you know, the various donation goals that we've reached. Like, it goes just back into not only the production quality, I suppose, but also just like, you know, the vibe, essentially. I was gonna say like rent and food. I was like, does that actually affect the stream? And I suppose it does in a way. So yeah, you know, a stress-free Emmy, I think, can put on more of a coherent show than one that's like kind of worried about, you know, just scrounging up the cash for next week or next month or whatever it is. So anyway, that's boring. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about good feeling things. So, like,
C. Lockett donated $50. Congrats on 1 week of different outfits. You ate.
Wow. Sea Locket, thank you so much. I literally did nothing at all to deserve that, but I'm so absolutely grateful. You guys want to see the fit one more time? Literally, I'm actually rocking the Pat Thick look today. Just don't ask about the panties. So, shorts. Pat Thick core, for real. Wait. How far back? Ta-da. Thank you very, very much. I don't know what to say. Besides, I appreciate you very much, and I mean, how many more weeks? I guess 51 more weeks of outfits to go, right? Which is going to be exciting and increasingly weird as we go. You deserve it by not being me, not Hermione, you. I need my sister to do that again. She's so good at it. It's crazy. Oh gosh. Thank you. That's crazy. Let's see. You can decide what I spend it on, I suppose. Like, I always feel a little bit, sheepish, the word? Like, besides myself with, gratitude. And so, spend it on a bean. If you want me to eat a Bean Boozle bean, I do have them here. But that's going to turn this stream into a very different kind of stream. Oh shit. Spend it on something that will make me smile. A jellycat friend for us. A jellycat. What is a jellycat? Is that a thing? Aww. Those are so cute. Unfortunately, they are my direct competitors. Oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. But they're adorable. The hat. Oh, the cake. That looks like a strawberry shortcake. A bean one. Let's see. Hot dog. There's like something of everything. Oh my gosh. That's adorable. What the fuck? You know what, actually? This is so, this literally means nothing to anyone except me. But guess what I'm going to hopefully get my hands on soon. Oops. Oh no, come on. Not German, no. This guy. I've been playing Danganronpa in my spare time. I've been very much enjoying it so far. And this guy is so cute, even though he's fucking evil. Like, he's literally the most evil creature in the entire universe. But he's so cute. You know, like, he's just so cute. So, I'm trying to get my hands on something like that. Oh my god. He's eating a chip. So, yeah. Yeah, the song, right? The music from that game goes so hard. And, there's not many of these, like, in Australia. Because I was trying to see secondhand, of course. But I think if this thing goes through, I made an offer, then I might be able to get my hands on one and have my, you know, my new friend, essentially. Maybe he could even join us on stream. So, yeah. Very, very cute. Oh my god. Is that to scale? Fuck me. Anyway. Let's see. Emmy sized, yeah. Imagine that. I always wanted a teddy bear that was the size of me, right? When I was a baby, that was a little bit easier. Now it's, yeah, definitely tricky. But anyway. We need a mascot. Besides Pathic, who is my mascot? Fuck, I don't know. I feel like Pathic is essentially, yeah, he runs this stream, you know? Like, he actually is the manager and the what's it called? Like the brains behind the operation. I'm merely just his puppet. It's ironic, I know. Make a Pathic, or make one of Monokuma. We do have Pathic plushies in store of varying colors. And honestly, it's hard for me to pick which one's my favorite. But lots of people seem to like the purple one. The two purple ones here. And yes, Sea Locket did talk to me about that red one there, Cody, so not to worry. Yeah, if we ever have a Karen moment, Pathic is the manager. That's exactly right. Yeah, Grimace. Oh my gosh. I love how they're all holding hands as well. It's so cute. Anyway. There's a few different colors, and I'm pretty sure my auntie's gonna keep making more. Why does that look so cute? Oh my god, I can't. It's like the angle. Like the kind of top down. Oh my god, I can't. Oh, okay, sorry. And of course the... what can I say? I literally have no words. Oh shit. And yeah, my auntie makes these. She hand makes them, and then my mum printed on the face. So we've kind of upgraded from the OG Patrick. But yeah, it's like a family operation essentially. And I know it's a little bit of a premium, but it's because we're making them by hand, by ourselves. There's no factory operations, no sweatshops in a third world country. We split the money as evenly as we can. Not like 3 ways, but you know what I mean, like appropriately. And so yeah, it's pretty lewd, I know. It's a little bit lewd. I honestly don't even know where to begin. Like, this picture just cracks me up. I don't know why. The angle. So yeah, there we go. Not the buttocks. That's crazy work. Anyway, moving on. That's crazy. Yeah. I'm gonna get too hot under the collar, even more so if we keep looking at that. So, yeah. Pathic really is the brains behind the operation. I'm merely his pawn in this little game of ours. So, how hot is it right now? It's pretty fucking hot. Let me see. Apparently it's 30 degrees right now. Which is what in Fahrenheit? I don't know. Oh, my camera. Fuck. Why does this always happen? Please. Please. Hello? Okay, there we go. Sometimes it just does that, guys. I don't know why. So, yeah. I'm literally melting right now. My brain is like slowly but surely leaking out of my ears. And, yeah. At least I filled up my bottle, guys. But it's like actually so hot that when I turn on the tap, like the cold tap, it runs really boiling hot for a few seconds before it actually gets cold. Like, that's how hot it is here. The fan is on the highest possible setting it can be. Let me Google the Fahrenheit. 30 degrees. Celsius to Fahrenheit. It's like 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So 30 degrees Celsius. And thank you, Sea Locket, for the hydrate again. It is kind of, it's like kind of lukewarm. Yeah, I think the rough estimate is like ×2, then add 32. That's just what I heard, but it could be fake news. I'm not sure. Yeah, 23, that's like a nice day. 30 is like, now you're pushing it. And 40 is like, you're fucked, mate. It's like a post-apocalyptic, you know? So, yeah. Anyway. Cody is at -29? What the fuck? That's crazy. That's enough to turn you into an icicle. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I need an AC. I mean, I've got my fan here. But the actual, like, air conditioning unit is actually on the other side of the house. So it doesn't really do much here in my little streaming studio. So, you guys can't see it, but maybe you can hear it if I turn it this way. Is that ASMR or is that, like, annoying? It's just on the sidelines there, trying to keep me alive. Yeah, sure. Anyway. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, The Substance, yeah. Has anyone seen that movie? Like, where you basically become a better, sexier, smarter, younger version of yourself if you take the substance. I wanted to ask you guys, those of you that have seen the movie, would you take the substance? It's pretty crazy. It's not for the faint of heart, that's all I'll say, because it's pretty in your face and absurd, avant-garde for sure. Maybe to make this accessible to people who haven't seen the movie, let me ask to anyone that feels comfortable answering, what does the best version of yourself look like? What do they act like? What activities are they into? You know? Because we used the movie as kind of like a jumping off point for a philosophical discussion. And though we didn't talk about these specific questions, I'm curious about how you guys feel. Are you currently your best selves? How, if not, how big is the gap? How easily traversable is that gap? And yeah, we'll start there, I suppose. I take any substance if it meant I turn into Margaret Qualley for a week. Holy shit, yeah. She was smoking hot in that movie. Though I will say, Demi Moore is absolutely stunning. Like, she's so, I don't know, just well arranged, if that makes sense. And yeah, it was, I know it's part of the movie, but it was sad to see someone so beautiful, so despondent about their own looks, you know. Yeah, body horror, that's definitely one of the main themes of the film. And so it's not for everyone, but I found it fascinating and so compelling and so real, which is funny because they're taking, like, they're showing you something so absurd and over the top, but it's rooted in something real, like the way people feel about themselves. And of course, women in Hollywood, for example, or even just in general, feeling a pressure to look or act a certain way, to be thin, pretty, young, and how crazy making that process can be. I think the absurdity of the movie kind of reflected the absurdity of the actual situation, you know? That yes, it is quite absurd, the lengths that we go to present in particular ways. When I say we, I mean anyone, you know? I don't know if I felt different before and after the film. I think sometimes it takes a very, very life-changing, like, kind of piece of media for that to happen to me. But I feel better off after having watched it. And it gave me something to chew on for a little bit, you know? I thought it was, like, Yeah, just good, right? I have not seen The Fly, but I think someone on stream may have mentioned it in the past. It's probably on my very, very long list of to watch movies. But yeah. I think it would have been more powerful if they cast someone who'd never had any kind of cosmetic surgery. It felt a little strange that Demi already had so much physical augmentation. There's a good point to be made there, but maybe that's kind of like, that's also part of the whole farce of it all, right? Even someone who is already kind of tweaked and changed things to become basically, you know, a paragon of beauty and like desirability still is not satisfied, right? Because I guess the point is that you can never really be satisfied. It's this kind of hedonistic treadmill that will continue to run until you just tire yourself out entirely. And yeah, I don't know. I think she had a magnificent performance. Like, it was very physical, almost slapstick at times. And I hadn't really seen her much in other films. But I was surprised by the lengths that she was willing to go for the actual character. And like, you know, stuff that you kind of have to let go of your pride a little bit to really like do to the best of your ability. And so, you know, if you haven't seen the film, it kind of doesn't make much sense what I'm saying right now. But some of the scenes that Demi Moore's in, she really gives it her all, you know, literally and kind of metaphorically bearing everything, I suppose. And so, yeah. In terms of like one's best self, I feel like it's a fun, sometimes harrowing question to ask because, well, for me at least, I don't want to speak for anyone else. It's easy for me to kind of ignore myself for a little while if I'm not on track, that is. I can keep myself busy and distracted with other things, other pleasures, because I don't want to actually kind of face that reality. Like if I'm not eating right, or if I'm not exercising, or sleeping well, or whatever it may be, not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It can be very easy to distract yourself, right? But if you frame it in the sense of like trying to become your best self, which is inevitable, then it becomes less about the existentialism of like if it's even possible and more about how to fast track the process, right? So what does your best self entail? Not just physically, but like what kind of person are they? Are they kind, generous, funny, sarcastic? And if you aren't fully there yet, how do you get there? That's something I'm curious about. So yeah, I want to know. No wrong answers, essentially. Dame, welcome in. I'm so glad to see you. How have you been, my friend? It's been a hot minute. I'm sure this place looks a little different as well. Yeah. I'll never achieve my best self until they invent personality transplants. Acceptance is important. Well, I know you're just being glib, but I think you're already pretty close. You know, from the limited amount of time that we've spent hanging out, you know? Self-aware, funny, generous. Those are good qualities to have, you know? I think there's beauty with age. I totally agree. We gain wisdom, knowledge, and a stronger sense of self with time and life experience. Absolutely. Like, I don't know, it's like there's something about going through life and having the scars to prove it, I guess, that I personally find pretty attractive, you know. It's lived in, it's real, it's raw, and as you know, titillating to use an interesting word, as it is to see like, you know, Margaret Qualley on screen with her perfect smooth skin and like incredible genetics. It's just one facet of beauty. There are many, 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 many more to appreciate, at least in my eyes. Honestly, I think, and I guess I've shown you guys through my various crushes, it's usually about something less, what's the word? Surface level than that to sound so like cliche. I mean, I was down bad and still am down bad for Sans of all people, the skeleton. So I feel like, you know, I've got the credentials to prove it. But like, what it means to be beautiful is like, well, I don't know, being open, playful, willing to be kind of human in a way, right? And yeah, a lot of the time that involves everything except how you look. So blue popsicle things, yeah, don't even get me started. Dame, I'm glad to hear you're doing bombastic. That's fantastic. And yes, the camera is a new addition. Funnily enough, a little bit easier to look at than my webcam because there's this big eye of my DSLR that kind of attracts my attention. My webcam was literally just built in, totally flush with my computer, and so I could never really actually train myself to look at it too much. But yeah. Maybe we do ourselves a disservice by using the term beauty to describe things on the outside. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Perhaps we should only think of beauty as something to be found inside. It's like, it's inside everyone, you know? Like, it's really hard to not find beauty in everything. And I think essentially that's what motivates me as a writer, I suppose. And once you adjust your senses to recognizing it, it's everywhere. It's surrounding you at all times in everything. Like, not just in people, in, you know, your surroundings, in nature. It's quite an interesting space to live in, and it just kind of helps facilitate the creative process. So it's a space I like to try to remain in when possible. You know, it's like a very kind of almost like childlike way to interact with the world, if that makes sense. Full of wonder, you know. But yeah. Interesting. Punch Drinker, this is for you. Ready? Ding. Though maybe I should do the move from The Substance where she goes, take care of yourself. Anyway, Carl, welcome in. I'm glad to have you. And yeah, my best self, I think, is maybe a little bit more focused, a little bit more disciplined. Something along those lines. Because right now I'm just kind of getting a grip on things, right? So I would like to be more on track with that kind of thing. So, Carlos, I apologize. I'm glad to have you. And yeah, the question is, what does your best self look like, act like, or enjoy? For me, I'm like, damn, I really need to just get my shit together because I've been going to sleep at like 6 a.m. and waking up at like 4 p.m. So yeah, that's one of them. But it's almost impossible because it's so natural, you know? It's like, it feels like I'm going against my natural sleep cycle to be a regular person. So, but yeah. God. It's a big thing, and it always has been for me. Like, ever since I was a child, I've been struggling with sleep, getting to sleep, staying asleep, and then, funnily enough, waking up. Like, yeah, it's a whole thing. So, it's a cool schedule. I mean, I'm coasting by on the fact that I don't really have a regular 9 to 5 that I'm beholden to. But I feel like eventually it's going to bite me in the butt because, yeah, most people live, dwell, and, you know, kind of organize things in the regular daylight hours. Eventually I'm going to be, like, yeah, running into issues. I've even actually noticed it recently, like, when it comes to scheduling appointments or even, like, you know, seeing friends, I have to be like, okay, if I make this early in the morning, I might just not sleep, which is fucked. So, yeah, it's a work in progress. So, but yeah, curiouser and curiouser. Let's see. I don't know yet what my best self looks like. Less pessimistic, happy. I'm smart. I like to think I'm funny. Have a decent personality. I'm generous. But I struggle to be happy. That's fucking relatable. And I struggle to think positively. I've been doing a lot of self-help things in the past few months, but I'm still struggling. Change is hard, but I'm hoping to get to the point where I don't wake up crying and can look at things with a positive outlook and not a negative one. That is so heartfelt. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing. A lot of that is relatable, you know, which is interesting. And I've talked about it before on stream, how, like, I want to show you guys, like, the best parts of myself. The happy Emmy, you know, that you guys mostly know of. But sometimes that's not always the true Emmy, you know? And so taking the time to be gentle, you know, be patient with yourself, and whatever this is worth, that idea that we have talked about here about like emotional outfits. You can, like, okay, take on and off certain feelings as if they were like a jacket or a t-shirt, and, you know, let them service you up until the point where they're helpful, and then gracefully move on. In the same way that you change clothes, like every day or like when needed, you know, you can do the same with feelings. And so it's kind of like, if you're feeling sad, it's like, okay, here's this like heavy jacket that's kind of weighing me down today. But there's relief in being able to say, at least I can take it off, you know, after it served its function to maybe protect you from the rain or something like that, you know. Some outfits may be more permanent than others, or maybe more comparable to like a tattoo, a temporary tattoo or something like that. But I don't think there's a state of mind that's completely permanent, right? Which is comforting to me, because there's agency in that, to be like, you know what, yeah, I'm feeling like shit right now, but hopefully, well, not hopefully, I'm sure that it will pass. This too shall pass type beat. And sometimes you kind of just have to sit with it for a minute, respect it, even if it's uncomfortable. Because, you know, it's all about collaboration within yourself, and trying not to fight something, because usually that ends up, at least for me, speaking from experience, it ends up being more catastrophic if I'm trying to repress some kind of feeling, you know? Yeah, if you're going through hell, keep going. That's right. That's exactly right. So, yeah. I feel like I try and find something that is kind of like an anchor or a guiding force that's like solid. So even when I'm lost, or if I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing, I can find these like landmarks and come back to myself. And so for me, that's like axioms, philosophical bedrock, where you can't explain why you feel that way. You just believe it to be a good thing to believe in. And so For me, that is maximizing pleasure and minimizing suffering. So if I'm trying to make a decision and I'm like, is this aligned with how I want to be as a person? I just come back to that. Is that in line with maximizing pleasure and minimizing suffering, right? And so if you guys are struggling, maybe that could be a good place to start. And of course, I can't choose your axioms for you. I can't choose your philosophical bedrock, your idea of what makes a life good. But if you find that for yourself, it's like something you can carry with you, and it's helpful. It's like a guiding light in case you're ever stuck or feeling like you may be stranded and have less footing than you may like. Find what, like in a sentence or something, find what you want to be and do in the world, and it's a good stepping stone. So yeah, does that make sense? It's fine if you guys say no, that does not make sense. But that's kind of a very basic first step that I sometimes go back to whenever I feel like I need to. And it's helpful, at least to me. So, yeah. Cody says, in some ways, I never want to achieve my best self. It means I stop growing and I never want that. I think, yeah, that makes sense. Best can be like best at the moment, if that makes sense, right? Like, who is the best version of myself that I can be in this current space and time, right? Like, it's always in flux and ever changing. But for this little slice of time, what does that look like? And then you can ask or re-ask the question at a later date and see if it's the same or if it's changed. And that way you're kind of always your best self at that moment type beat. Exactly. Because I do think there's like, yeah, you can stagnate if you think, well, I guess I'm done now. I've done all the soul searching I need and I'm perfect. That's unhelpful. But to think of it in increments is maybe a more productive way to go about it. So it's crazy because people saved my life, but they don't know who I am. Honestly, I feel the same way. Like, I've said that about Germa before, as, you know, much of a meme as it is over here. It's true. And other people, like, online, that have been so instrumental in, like, the formation of who I feel like I am. You know, influence comes from every which way. And sometimes, even without realizing, a person across the world can actually be very, very important in, you know, one's shaping of oneself. So, always keep fighting the good fight. That's exactly right. Yeah, it's a give and receive. That's right. And as for maximizing pleasure, that's why there's the caveat there, maximizing pleasure and minimizing suffering, because I could take a hedonistic lifestyle, like, pathway, right? But that would ultimately end in lots of suffering for me and possibly multiple other people. So it's about, like, the delicate balance of both. Like, yes, eating this gigantic chocolate cake would make me feel very pleasured right now, but I'd end up with a stomach ache and, you know, it would not be great for my health. So that's ultimately the most maximum pleasure that I could receive would be to actually eat in moderation, you know? So that's kind of how I think about it. It's almost like utilitarian in a sense. But yeah, that's obviously not, it doesn't work for everyone to have that as their guiding light. I offer it up as something that can be, like, taken for you guys. You can use it if you want, or modified, or whatever it may be. Use as inspiration so you can find something that works better for you, you know? Some people think, you know, the decadents believe that pleasure is the the highest moral good in the world. I guess the Buddhists think something else. I don't want to pretend I even know how to summarize Buddhist thought in like a sentence. You find what aligns with you and what seems to be like the most natural feeling, I suppose, and build from there. So, yeah. It's so freaking hot, guys. You can see my face just glistening with sweat. Anyway, enough philosophy. I get lost in the sauce sometimes and I'm like, wait, did I make any sense just then? Do you think everyone is right in their own way if it feels true to them, or are there some things that are just wrong? That's deep. It's a heavy hitter. I feel like if you want a functioning society, we have to all agree that some things are just wrong. And that doesn't mean they are inherently, it just means that we have decided upon it, right? We've agreed that murder is wrong, you know, that stealing or doing things that are illegal is wrong. We've decided that because otherwise people would just do what they wanted when they wanted and it would be chaos, right? But is stealing wrong just flat out? I don't think so. There's that classic case like, you know, Aladdin stealing a loaf of bread to feed your family. Is that morally wrong just because it was stealing? Not really. What about if you steal like the life savings of an old granny? Yeah, that's probably a bit more wrong, right? But like, how can you have degrees of wrongness, like if something is just inherently wrong or not? So it's kind of like, well, do you agree to the social contract? If so, you just have to kind of suck it up and like live in that society. If you don't, then you either have to move somewhere with different rules, or just kind of become a sovereign citizen and live out in the forest or something. I don't know. But yeah, how can you get that across to a straight nihilist who doesn't care about your feelings though? That's quite funny. Sometimes nihilists can be hard to deal with because there are different like trains of thought when it comes to nihilism, but I think one of the more popular online ones is kind of a doomerist perspective, right? So it's like, it's a kind of thing where a lot of people, after studying a bit of philosophy and maybe a bit of psychology, they come to the conclusion, life is meaningless and I should not care about life or joy or pleasure because ultimately it all means nothing anyway. But I don't think that is the point of nihilism in general. Or maybe it's not the point that I care about, at least. And if you can't get through to someone by pure ideology, or like beating them with like an academic textbook, because that usually doesn't work, to be honest, I would suggest trying to get through to someone through emotional appeals. Like, you know, kind of the golden rule, do unto you as you would like, do unto others as you would like have done unto you. Because, you know, sometimes pure logic and reason just isn't the way to go. Hardly anyone is convinced if you can just like recite a bunch of facts at them and like, you know, be so smart. Even if it might make you feel good. Sometimes it takes a lot of patience and a lot of arduous kind of time and effort to actually get through to someone and tell them, hey, I want to exist, like coexist with you in a peaceful way. This is what I need and this is what I can like offer up. If it's not compatible, then sometimes it's just best to like part ways, essentially. Like with no hard feelings, just being like, we obviously don't see the world the same. And I think it's kind of irreconcilable, essentially. So, yeah, communication, you know. I will say though, a lot of people, I don't know, they're feeling a very real despair for the world. And that's why maybe nihilism is pretty popular right now. When you think about the material conditions that most people are facing currently, across the world, whether you're in a first world country or a developing nation, it's like people are suffering out there. And sometimes it can be a bit of a relief to turn to a philosophy that says, well, yeah, life is suffering, or ultimately life is meaningless, so who cares? In a way, it's like a weird roundabout way of feeling better about your situation, or feeling better about some perceived deficit that you may have. And so, like, to improve someone's material conditions, I think, is maybe sometimes all it takes. And obviously, one single person can't do that. It has to be a kind of systemic effort, and that's where it gets tricky, you know? People are fucking hurting out there, you know? It's like, it's horrible to think about, and something that I've written about extensively and then felt guilty about writing about extensively because it seems so, not performative because it's real, but useless almost. And so to kind of meet someone where they're at is maybe another good way to go about it, right? Why not turn headlong into your problems? That's always baffled me. I don't know, it's like always up for debate, that kind of, what's the word? Like pull yourself up by your bootstraps argument. Like, there is some level of change that I think an individual can affect in their lives. There's also like a majority, or not a majority, there's a percentage of that really is kind of like down to luck, the circumstances, the nature of where you're born and when. And so it's like, I don't think it's as simple as that. Though of course, it doesn't do anyone good to just like inspire a sense of disempowerment in people. So it's good to tell people like, yeah, go attack your problems, because otherwise, like, what's the point? But there are some real things that kind of can be prohibitive to people out there, you know, from actually fully solving the issues they may be having. And, you know, I'm no fucking, what's it called, politician or, yeah, like, what's the word, sociologist? So I'm not quite sure, like, what the best way to deal with that is. But yeah, to recognize it maybe is a good first step. So, yeah, because, you know, compassion for others, to me, that's essential. Like, that is something that I definitely look out for in friends. If they don't have